everyone. Welcome to day 2 of the Social Business Academia Conference 2020. Today, we are going to start with our academic session 3 with 4 academic papers and 2 paper presentations. Today, our moderator is Professor Mark Shen, Director, the Yunus Social Business Center at the National Central University, Taiwan. We have many back-to-back sessions, so I request all the presenters to maintain your time. So without further delay, let us start our session and welcome Professor Mark Shen to kickstart the session. Professor Mark Shen, please.
Yes. Okay. It's my pleasure to be the moderator of this session. I think we are very happy to have 3 academic papers to present, and so each presenter will use 15 minutes to present your research. And in addition to that, after each session, each presentation, we have 5 minutes of presenters. You can write down your question in the chat box. In addition to the 3 presentations to present, and we also have a short presentation provided by Paula. So may I turn to the presentation to our first paper. The first paper is the use of portable health clinic.
Yeah, can I say a few words before that?
Technical and the social challenges. So may I invite our first presenter?
Mark, yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Can I say a few words?
Yes. Sorry about that. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Just to say
yes.
hello. That's all.
Sure.
That's all.
Sure,
Thank you, Professor Mark.
Sorry, I forget.
No
Yeah,
problem. No problem.
You
I'm
want to
right
say
here.
something to? No problem.
Yeah.
Sorry. Happy to see you.
Just to
Yes.
say hello. How are you? It's good to see you. This is the whole purpose of this gathering, the Social Business Academia Conference. This is our annual event to say hello and give a hug and see what we are doing, what can be done. And this session is also very relevant for the work that we have been involved with, particularly in the context of pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic. There I'm raising a basic question, which you will be talking about the bottom of the pyramid. I bring the bottom of the pyramid slightly in a different context. I said, all these people who lost their income and lost their livelihood during the pandemic period, it's a massive number of people. And the economists call them, or put them a title, call them informal sector. I said the very title tells them that they are not very interested in these people. But these are the people who are about 70% of the population of most of our countries. Those who are on their own, government doesn't support it, there's no job for them, and so on. Economists only tell them that get into the formal sector, get a job, formal job, then we will get started with you. Otherwise, you have nothing we can do for you. So I said that's a very wrong way of dismissing them, the 70% of the population of these countries. They're very productive people, creative people. I said, now we need to put a new designation for them, new title for them. And instead of informal sector, we should call them micro entrepreneur sector, because that's what they are. They leave their own efforts, their own initiative, selling their labor, selling their talent, selling their products, and that's what they do. So I said, if you call them micro entrepreneur sector, then suddenly it becomes powerhouse of the economy. Then you can think about the entrepreneurial pyramid. You see, another pyramid, entrepreneurial pyramid. On the top of the pyramid, you have the multi-billion-dollar entrepreneur. In the middle of the pyramid, you have the multi-million-dollar entrepreneur. At the bottom of the pyramid, you have the multi-hundred-dollar entrepreneur. These are the micro entrepreneurs that we talk about. Then they become a part of the big initiative of entrepreneurship. All we need to do now, build financial system to support the micro entrepreneur sector. And we can create a massive financial sector by creating social business micro-entrepreneur banks. Social business micro-entrepreneur banks. I mentioned it's social business because from the microcredit, we have learned microcredit kind of get into wrong direction. Its concept is abused by people who want to become loan sharks. In order to cut that out so that this micro-entrepreneur bank cannot become loan shark, so these banks have to be designed and has to be run as a social business micro-entrepreneur bank. The purpose of the bank is to support the people like the Grameen Bank and help people to move up the ladder in the pyramid. That's what we should be doing. So this is, I thought, important thing, since you'll be discussing these issues about the bottom of the pyramid, to see the bottom of the pyramid as a powerhouse, not as a burden on the society and so on. So I'm very happy that you are discussing this thing. I welcome you all. I'm very happy that you could participate. And thank you, Markshan, to give me a few minutes to say hello to everybody. Thank you. Wish you all the luck. Have a very successful session, and I'll leave you.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Yunus. Yeah, we are happy to see, to hear your advice. And of course, today our third paper is about the absorptive capacity at the bottom of pyramid. I think we can also learn from something from this study. Okay. So so let's first of all let's invite our first paper, first presenter. The first paper is about the use of portable health clinic to tackle COVID-19 technical and social challenge. So may I invite the presenter for first paper?
Hello.
Shuhuri Rajiv.
Yeah. Hello, Professor Mark.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you hear?
Oh yes, you can hear.
Yes, we can hear you.
To share.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. This is Rajiv. I have been serving for Grameen Communications since last 6 years. And today I would like to talk about my paper. And I have made a presentation on that paper. I will show it to you. So let me share my screen first. So, okay. The topic of my presentation is use of portable health clinic to tackle COVID-19 situation, technical and social challenges. And I welcome you all to my presentation sessions here. Going to the next slide. Today, I will cover the following agendas like COVID-19, Bangladesh situation, portable health clinic, PHC during COVID-19, user feedback about PHC activities during COVID-19, limitations of my study, and social and technical challenges. So these are the 5 agenda that I will cover during this presentation. Let's have a quick look on the numbers. As I believe you will find the numbers in the following link. But let me tell you one thing, the data is up to 2nd November 2020. So far during COVID-19, we have in Bangladesh, we have 400,000 confirmed cases, where the fatality rate is 1.5% of total cases, and the recovery rate is 79.8%. Now, very unfortunately, the death toll is almost 6,000 people. So this is the very brief overview of Bangladesh COVID-19 pandemic situation. Going to the next slide. I'm showing you a fact as of 6th May 2020, 600 doctors, 375 nurses, and 116 medical technologists were affirmatively affected due to the COVID-19 virus. It means, or it indicates that frontliners are getting infected. On the other hand, in the beginning of COVID-19 pandemic in our country, private hospitals or clinics, they were not ready to serve COVID patients. So it created an enormous burden on our government hospitals. And every people, they had to rush to the government hospitals to take healthcare facility or to talk to the doctors or to get the medical facilities. And another scenario is non-COVID patients, they were deprived of having medical treatment. Going to the next slide. Portable health clinic during COVID-19. So before I will show a very short video in this slide, but before going to this video, I would like to tell about PHC. Actually, PHC Portable Health Clinic is a telemedicine-based healthcare service delivery mechanism focusing on non-communicable diseases. It started in 2010. Until now, we have served more than 44,000 patients. Now, PHC is being operated in 7 countries except Bangladesh. Let's have a look on the video. I'm playing the video. So PHC is a handy briefcase. Briefcase actually equipped with some portable sensor sets. By this box, 14 primary health checkups can be done. At first, healthcare worker complete patient registration and a unique barcode ID is given to the patient. Then patient health checkup is done by a healthcare worker, all the data inserted into the system. System then classifies the data in 4 color categories. Green means, here you can see, you will see green, yellow, orange, and red. Green means everything is fine, and red means patients immediately talk to the doctor. And after talking to the doctor over the Skype or over a video conferencing tool, doctor make a prescription for the patient, and the prescription is locally printed where the healthcare worker is sitting beside the patient. So thus PHC works in normal situation. So later on, when the pandemic started, we think that PHC could be equally useful applicable for the COVID-19 situation as well. And keeping this in mind, we have developed a C logic, particularly for COVID situation. C logic means corona logic. And we inserted this logic into our PHC system. And we have put 5 color categories here: green, light yellow, yellow, orange, and red. And each category has a separate explanation of potential to identify potential COVID patients. And after developing the module, PHC COVID module, we have conducted 3 phases telephonic survey. First of all, we selected 1,116 subjects randomizedly from both rural and urban areas of Bangladesh. And out of this number, we have collected data from 806 subjects. And after collecting the 806 data, we analyzed the data with having potential symptoms of COVID-19, and we found that 312 suspected subjects. And in phase 2, we conducted another survey, another clinical survey, actually, I would rather mention, on 312 subjects. And finally, we could be able to collect 300 data. And we inserted 300 data in PHC COVID module for triaging. And in phase 3, after inserting the data, system automatically analyzed the data and identified the patients and distributed the patients among 5 categories. Like finally, we have found that 220 patients were in green zone, 45 in light yellow zone, 2 were in yellow zone, 30 were in orange zone, and 3 were in red zone. So after having all the assessments, clinical surveys, and telephone, and all the surveys were done by telephone, over the telephone, we have come to a conclusion that PHC COVID module could reduce the transmission risk. And second one is it also reduced the load at medical facilities, existing medical facilities. Going to the next slide. Here you can see from the pictorial view that our healthcare workers are calling our subjects, and they are receiving phone calls by sitting at their homes in the rural village. So thus it reduces the transmission risk. Now I will get back to the point of user feedback about PHC activities during COVID-19. We from this pie chart, as we can see that 80% of people, they were very happy to receive this service. But we have some negative statement also that 14% they did not, 14%, and here in 4%, approximately 8% they did not like the service. We can say that. I would like to show the limitations of this study. Our doctors, our call center doctors, actually advised 16 subjects after triaging 16 subjects to go for PCR lab test. Out of 16 subjects, 13 were in orange zone and 3 were in red zone. But we found that only one subject tested positive in first PCR test, and the other one subject, he was tested negative. So analysis showed that accuracy level of COVID-19 module of PHC triaging was 50%. I am saying 50% as because we have the data to say 50%. But in that case, I would also like to add one thing, that I cannot come to a end decision like because the sample size was too small or insignificant. And I think this is one of the major limitations of my study. If we could have more subjects, then the percentage of the accuracy level, I mean the triaging level, it could be, I hope it could be go further or beyond 50%. Another limitation is we did not have traceability mapping feature for suspected COVID-19 patient. And the third one is we did not conduct invasive test to collect verified clinical data. What we did, we only collected clinical symptomatic data from the patients over the telephone. But all the data we collected, those could not be verified clinically. So I think it is also one of the limitations of the study. Going to the next slide. I will show the social and technical challenges. After experiment, I have found some social challenges. Like when the pandemic started, the COVID-19 started in our country, we had many questions and we did not have answer about all those questions, like how to reduce transmission at community level, how to deal with communicable diseases like COVID-19 at large scale, obviously, and how to provide healthcare service to the unreached people at an affordable cost, how to reduce sudden pressure on healthcare facilities, and the last one is how to create awareness on COVID-19 among mass people. So from my study, I have found that these were the social challenges, but right now the situation is somewhat different than the beginning. Going to the next slide. Here in this slide, I think in my research or experiment, we had some technical challenges as well. Like we did not have the robust triaging. I think we should make the triaging more robust by using artificial intelligence or machine learning. We need to incorporate dynamic traceability feature in PHC system so that we can trace a potential COVID-19 symptomatic patient, and we can map his mobility. So dynamic traceability feature is a must, I think. The third point is we need to update the health screening mechanism. We do have the mechanism, health screening mechanism, but all are for the non-communicable diseases. But I think it is high time. It is high time to prepare a health screening mechanism focusing on COVID-19 viruses, nCoV-19 virus or COVID-19 pandemic. And the final one is need to figure out appropriate strip-based test kit for COVID-19 test with utmost accuracy, because right now people need to go for a PCR test, and then they have to follow the or maintain a long queue, which is very hectic, especially for the elderly people. But if we can incorporate a strip-based test kit in our PHC box, which is almost the similar accuracy level of PCR lab test, that would be very helpful for the people, I think. So I think I have finished my presentation, as I have time limitations. So I made my presentation a very brief. I guess you might have so many questions, and I would be happy to answer if you have any questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Rajiv. Yes. So anyone have questions?
So I'm
Question now.
stopping my screen share.
Yes.
Mark, we don't hear you.
You cannot hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Hello? So can you hear me now?
Action.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can hear you, but your voice is too low.
Too low? Too low?
Yeah,
Now it's
I think
better now?
it's okay. Much
Yeah.
better now.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yes. So anyone have questions? So you can raise your question in the chat box now. Maybe I have a question for Rajit. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think you just use say logic to classify. I think to classify into green, yellow, orange, or red. So maybe can you elaborate about the logic you desire to classify? How
Oh,
you classify the
yeah.
green one?
You want to know the classification of the colors, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for your question. Actually, green means when we insert the clinical data into our PHC system. PHC system, as I told you, the PHC system distribute the patient into among the four color categories: green, yellow, orange, and red. In normal situation, green means all the clinical data are in normal range, and the patient do not need to worry about it. Everything is normal. So the healthcare worker advise patient, and a patient do the same, and he or she doesn't need to consult with the doctor. Yellow means one or two healthcare data or clinical parameters might not be in a normal range. So in that case, it is not to worry about. Still, we consider that he or she is not a patient. But healthcare worker advise him from his or her end to follow some guideline, like you should walk 30 minutes daily, you should take proper diet, you should avoid oily food, like this, to change some food habits. Orange means some of the parameters, clinical parameters, are in danger zone, and the patient must need to talk to the doctor. And red means one or more parameters are already in critical zone, and we recommend the patient to talk to the doctor directly. So in PHC system, we always advise our patients, if you are in orange zone or in red zone, you must talk to our call center doctors. But if you are in green zone or in yellow zone, I think you do not need to need to talk to the doctor, because healthcare workers can give you advice. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you. Mhm. Yes. So may I know why you have you also conduct survey, right? So and about 8% of the people don't like your service. Do you know why? Why they don't like the service?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. We created another survey to know their feedback, actually, because in our country, some social discrimination and social stigma are working, especially in the pandemic situation. Government uses police forces in our country when they found a suspected COVID-19 patient. Police go to that house, go to the patient house, suspected COVID-19 patient house, and isolate that house from the rest of the society. So people, as you know, people do not want to be isolated in anyhow or in any cases. So when we call them and we tell them that you are suspected potential COVID patients, you should go to the hospital or you should talk to our call center doctors. They are scared after hearing that, and they do not want to be disclosed this information to others, because they know once the information is disclosed, they could be isolated from the society, and then they do not want to be isolated. So that's why they refuse to take the service furthermore from us. So it is not about the quality of the service, rather I would say it is the social stigma created by the actions of our police.
Mark, there is a question from the audience. Should I read out it for you?
Yes, please.
Mr. Jainuddin, his question is, can you shed some light on the cost? How much the patient has to pay for the test? Is it cheaper than the price that we have to pay to avail the traditional testing service? Please, Mr. Razib.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I will get back to you directly. Actually, our particularly if I answer these questions, I mentioned in my presentation about the study or research. The study was jointly collaborated by Grameen Communications and Kyushu University, Japan. So under this study, we did not charge a penny to our patient. It was completely free of cost. But if apart from the study, our regular services is going on some part of our country, so in that case, a patient need to pay for this service. And as I mentioned in my presentation, that 14 primary tests can be done, including a doctor call. The number would be 15. So for 15, it is a complete checkup package. For 15 tests and doctor consultation, a patient need to pay 400 taka only. But under this study, it was free of cost.
Okay, thank you. So I think time's up. So thank you, Rajiv. Yeah, thank you for your presentation and your insights. So may I invite our next speaker, next paper. The paper topic is about decoupling social enterprise from neoliberalism. Okay, the potential of eco-villages. So may I invite our next presenter, Jenny or Rudolph? Yes, I can. I see your screen. So.
Hello. It's a pleasure to be with you today. I think that we will split our time of 15 minutes between Rudolph and myself. I hope that you can see the screen. I'm talking to you from Fish Hoek, South Africa, and the connectivity can be very, very unstable. So do let me know if you can hear me.
Yes, we
no
can.
problem. I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Please start.
And you can see the screen, I think, at this stage. Okay. The paper, Decoupling Social Enterprises, is based on a number of case studies that together illustrate the potential for the development of eco-villages. And what we are doing is talking about eco-factoring using local products that together could make a difference to
moving from unsustainable ways of life towards more sustainable living. And the paper proposes that eco-villages supporting urban hubs could in fact regenerate rural-urban balance. And although we have only worked in a few illustrative case study areas, such as in Indonesia, Alam Enda in West Java and East Kediri in East Java, in South Africa, in the Northwest Province on the border of Botswana, in a small place called Manyeledi. And currently I'm based for a short while in Fish Hoek, South Africa, where the organic village markets play an important role in neighborhood feeding during the pandemic. Some of my PhD graduates are connected with projects in Vietnam, and the potential for scaling up our network is being explored, because we believe that by working with nature, the eco-factoring potential could in fact be developed. So along these lines, in 2018, followed up in 2019, and through ongoing connections this year, we've held a symposium on the potential of One Village, Many Enterprises. And we talked about the cooperative engagement that is ongoing through the Universitas Pajajaran and Alam Enda in West Java. On the left-hand side, you can see the picture of the reggae farmers artwork, which is geared to regenerating opportunities for young people. And on the right-hand side, you can see a picture of the very problematic landscape that is the result of the Suharto era of the so-called Green Revolution, which encouraged the clearing of forests. And whilst we were there at the end of 2019, we were wearing masks because of the dust storms blowing the topsoil off the ground. What is actually needed is fostering stocks for well-being. Future well-being stocks need to have multi-dimensional measures. And on the right-hand side, you see a beautiful painting by my colleague, Alan Rayner, whose painting is contributed to our forthcoming book, From Polarization to Multi-Species Relationships, where he stresses that beneath the Earth's surface, the mycelia, the mitochondria are all important. They are the internet of the Earth. We need a new ecology of mind, as Gregory Bateson said right back in 1972, to foster a respect for living systems of which we are part. One of the projects in Australia, which was facilitated by Neparendi, is most important in underpinning the philosophy of eco-villages. Here you have my mentor, a Ngarrindjeri mentor, Daphne Wilson, weaving together strands of experience, or weaving together river grasses from the River Murray, which are so important for removing salinity from the soil as the River Murray ebbs and flows. We were funded by the Australian Research Council, and then later by a series of small projects, including some funding from local government, which enabled the drawing together of personal stories, finding patterns, and developing with a multidisciplinary team a prototype of pathways to well-being, which consider what we have, what we need, what we're prepared to add to our in-basket of life, what we're prepared to change, what the turning points for the better and worse are, and what resources we can bring together, both material and non-material and spiritual. And these ideas have helped to seed other projects, which my colleague Pak Rudolf Wurwan will talk about in East Java, and how the idea is to try to move from not coping towards a more sustainable future by looking at interconnected pathways which can address three linked concerns: high rates of urbanization, lack of rural-urban balance, habitat loss impacting multiple species, and the big issue of the day, which, as the UN report on urbanization said right back in 2014, by 2050, the majority of the world's global urban population will be in Asia and in Africa, which will have a terrible impact on agricultural liminal, which means the shared environments that we share with creatures such as guinea fowl, or in the case of the Cape, the wild baboons that are increasingly losing their habitat, losing their wild habitats, and losing the opportunity to actually fertilize the beautiful fynbos, as it is known, part of the biodiversity of the Cape. We face social, economic, and environmental challenges that are convergent, and our Asian and African centuries face either a demographic dividend or a liability, unless we are prepared to work towards realizing opportunities for enhancing vocational education and training for social and environmental justice that really look at the challenges ranging from bushfires and floods to displacement of people and animals, the growing complexity, the lack of engagement, particularly if we think of the impact that the protest movements have made. We have to realize that the policy logic is very fragmented, and the worldviews of the elites continue to prevail over the worldviews of the people. More boundary spanning is needed, and a reconciliation of power needs to be underpinned by policies that are really supported by international law. Now, many of you will know that Agent Orange in Vietnam led to the destruction of habitat, a way of life, nearly broke people's spirit, but didn't. And the work of a number of academics, starting with Arthur Galston, put forward the notion of ecocide, which is picked up as most important by Polly Higgins, who has said that this is a crime against peace and a crime against humanity, because unless we prevent the destruction of habitat, we will in fact undermine the opportunities for a peaceful future. And this means that if we are to have a hope of entailing the potential of eco-villages and neighborhood farms and co-ops and all the good intentions of these small projects, we in fact need a movement to support the fact that this blue marble, which Gunter Pauli talks about in the blue economy, actually needs to be protected as a living being, and we cannot actually commodify it. To possibly end and hand over to my colleague in a moment, here in the beautiful Fish Hoek Valley, plastic has had an impact on the Camissa people. The place of sweet waters is the original name given to Cape Town, but unfortunately the nurdles that have washed up on the beach are now getting into the food system, and the traditional fishermen who still use their nets, traditional fishing nets, are catching fish that is now being consumed by the people who are eating the fish. And this absolutely closes the systemic food network, which we need to protect. Here in the Fish Hoek Valley, the Ocean View Organic Farm provides an excellent example of how the Khoi indigenous people and the displaced from Batavia and Malaysia, who were the people displaced by the original Dutch East India Company, they have turned around some opportunities close to the Ocean View High School, and they have worked with people who've been affected by the pandemic, by the shutdowns, by the lack of economic opportunities, and they have formed what they call the kos gangsters, which means the food gangsters. Instead of being involved in crime, they are engaged in building a future where people can live and learn and have hope together. This is a movement that is about decentering colonial policy, and just as in the George Floyd movements, where statues were removed and decentered. So right back in 2015, Rhodes statue was decentered. So today in South Africa, although there are less than 20,000 deaths, the lack of representation, accountability, and sustainability need to be addressed through regeneration. And this, of course, requires our turning what are food deserts into productive areas. The original greeting of the San people, who were the first nations of the Cape, was, "I see you from afar and I am hungry." And we need to actually remember that, because the food deserts that we are creating are going to be the challenge of the future unless we can provide policy frameworks, and these are discussed in my papers, and also supporting this through movements that are in line with the ecocide plea, which Polly Higgins and others have pursued. And I believe the European Union is backing to a certain extent the last time I looked. I'm going to hand over now to my colleague who is going to talk about the potential for the use of bamboo, if I get to that slide, for eco-factoring if combined with other products such as coffee, and how the One Village, Many Enterprises idea has resonance for our colleagues here in South Africa and our colleagues in Vietnam. So I'm going to thank you for your time and allow my colleague to take over from me at this point.
Okay, but we have limited time, so Rudolph, can you limit it to maybe 5 minutes? Because each paper only for 15 minutes. So Rudolph is going to make a 5 minutes presentation, right? Can you?
Okay, I will try to have a 5 minutes.
Yes, yes, yeah.
The,
or yes.
the presentation. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, I can see. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, please.
Okay. So again, this is the same presentation, but if we focus on the study case in Kediri, which is in East Java. Moment, let me. Okay. So it starts from Yunus Social Business Center here in Adelaide Business School, and led by Dr. Sam. This is the concept of our eco-village based on bamboo, cassava, coffee, and vortex. This is what we try to use whatever we have, according to Pauli. And this is the pathway to well-being, to start from the not coping to the regenerative life. This is a certain process that we use, and this is a sample. So I try to go as fast as possible now. The problem we have at the moment is we are actually in the monkey trap, because as soon as we got stock market crash, the government bailed out banks to rescue the economy. Banks rescue big company, and big company, instead of invest in the company, they buy back the share. And therefore the massive employment, people struggle to survive. And this go round and round, and this is what we call monkey trap. Actually, it's quite simple to come out from here. So if we actually collaborate with, if the government collaborate with the people, investing in the small and business company or anything which is focusing on wealth creation, banks makes loans to productive area of society, and that will help quite a lot. So this eco-village model focus on wealth creation. So it creates the eco-village that we are talking about. It creates a sustainable future effortless. So the idea of doing all this is we try not to use the linear, but we follow the circular economy so that we're not producing waste. And if you follow the linear, this is what happened, produce waste. If you are not following the linear but circular economy, this is what you get. And again, we find out that from the nature, the bamboos is quite fast and very useful. It grows between 3 to 5 years, where 30 years or more. So we think if we use bamboo, it will even produce water. It has been proven by Barca water, which is produced 100 liter per day. It costs about around 1,000 for this equipment, but using bamboo is free. So this bamboo can be used to generate electricity. I'm very happy to inform you on 17th of 9, 2019, it has been inaugurated and declared that 3 villages is using electricity from bamboos. And this is how we grow bamboo, supply bamboo, generate power, and supply the clean power from bamboo. And on top of that, we are also using the vortex energy just by using the river that flow mostly in Indonesia. So if we compare between the hydropower and the solar panels, one hydropower, we need 4 tennis court, 4 full tennis court full of a solar panel. And if we use hydropower, there is no toxins, lasts forever, no need to recycle, and no waste. On the other hand, the other one is produce toxic waste. So having talked about energy as well as cassava, now let's focus on the coffee. Coffee is the global demands that you see on this map. And we believe that in Indonesia, we have the best coffee in the world because it is built, it is grown in the bean belt as well as crossed by the ring of fire. And this is the reason why our coffee tastes different in different locations due to the mineral. And I have proved that in 2017, and we got gold medal as well as bronze medal. And this is the way we introduced the coffee from Indonesia. This is a single origin coffee. So we are not mixing coffee, and no sugar, no milk. So you can taste a coffee like drinking wine. So this, we import the coffee from Indonesia, we process in Australia. So, and we use blockchains to manage all this. And in collaboration with Yunus Centre campus, we plan to build cafe in Adelaide. This from Gunter Pauli, we actually also found out that as you drink coffee, you may also use the waste to grow mushroom, and also from mushroom we can grow food, energy, and job. And we consider all the 3 bottom line, which is the economy, social, environment in collaboration to create the sustainability, which we call eco-village. And this is, we get it from how the people feel by talking to each other, like write personal stories and so forth. And this information will be collected, and we use AI, artificial intelligence, to collect the pattern, to find out the pattern, to produce influence map, and we produce the policy, which produce the policy to balance the economy and social environment. And this flow in the circle or iterative way. And as this has been done, we built an architect with is all resources will be recorded in blockchains. Following certain policy, which is the result of the discussion of the research from a village to build a business development. We are also using the AI as well as the machine learning. And this is one sample, real sample, 2017. We are able to build the first eco village. We call it Kampung IT in Indonesia, in Kediri. And after that, they received an award from the Vice President from Indonesia. And this is actually just today in the morning, I received this message that the government, the bank, and the city of Chamber of Commerce are working together, effortless to do all this activity in conjunction with Australia and Europe. So this is where we signed the MOU in Kediri through the Zoom. And this is the export that they actually send the product to Australia and Europe. And not only in Kediri, we also do in Alameda, as mentioned by Professor Janet. We also do in Vietnam, also in South Africa, where Professor Janet currently located. And also we also doing in Greece, as you can see from this portal. So bamboos, you can see the beautiful of bamboo like this. And also, of course, all these bamboos can be used for different kind, not only for building, but we also can create a music from bamboo called angklung, where the bamboo actually also create peace in UN building in New York. And of course, we can have interactive angklung. And we also have an organization. And as you know, black bamboo can be used for didgeridoo, the music from Aborigine in Australia. And I also happy to announce that the Minister of Indonesia also announced to expose bamboos in Indonesia as well. And of course, we collaborate with Bambu Nusa Feather to ensure that this, the bamboo that we propagate is a high quality bamboo. And if you go to Indonesia, you will find this kind of cafe from bamboo equipped with Wi-Fi, and you can work there and enjoy the environment. And of course, if we reduce our ego, we will create a small, we create an eco village by reducing the ego. Just follow the formula that actually force is 1 per ego. You will find out the logic. And that's all what I have today. Thank you so much. Okay.
Professor Mark Shen, are there any questions from the floor?
Okay.
Did we lose Professor Mark Shen?
Okay, I would like to ask a question on behalf,
Yes.
you know, of.
Yes. I think we are running out of time, so we only have maybe allow one.
Sorry. I have a question to both presenters. That you have mentioned that you are using blockchain in your project. So could you please explain a little bit more about, the process, how you use the blockchain in your project?
Okay, this is an excellent question. Blockchains, as we know, you cannot actually modify things. Everything is already recorded in the blockchains. And by doing this, we ensure that, we do not need to trust human, but we trust the system. And because of blockchains, we can actually record all the information, anything like, for example, coffee. Very often coffee is, people question about the quality, the usage of the ingredient or thing that actually affect the coffee or even the health of the human. So using the blockchains, we can use QR code to detect the information or to display the history from the start until from the growing the coffee until the cup of coffee. And this is ensure the quality of the coffee in Indonesia. So that blockchain is used to make sure that people is somehow, you do not need to trust a human, but you trust the system.
Just come in at the point that Pak Rudolph is actually teaching people how to do blockchain, that this is a proposal for his research, that the blockchain has not been implemented. So this is, the title of the paper is The Potential of Eco-Villages. So the architecture is what is proposed. The actual blockchain to implement into the Pathways to Wellbeing software is so expensive that the training of people to learn how to do blockchain is part of the vocational education and training. So I thought I should come in to make that very clear, that this is a wish to create the blockchain. It doesn't exist at this stage. So in each of these little projects, there is the potential, and certainly the skills are there, the willingness is there, and certainly through some of the training sessions that Pak Rudolph is developing, it may be possible that the blockchain is a circular economy is fully implemented, but it does not exist. We are trying very hard to actually get funding to make this possible, because Pak Rudolph is very short. But each project we hope will actually contribute to the programming that will be necessary.
Mark, I have another question, if you allow me.
Yeah.
So you have, okay, just quick question. You have mentioned that you are using bamboo for producing electricity. Am I right?
Yes,
then,
yes.
And could you please briefly mention then how do you do that? And another question from the audience is that if someone wants to implement your project in Bangladesh, how can they do it? You know?
Okay, that's so. Actually, if you use any wood, anything, if you heat the wood, including bamboo, it will produce a gas, and that gas can be used to generate a machine. If you connect that machine to electricity motor, it will actually produce electricity. So that is the quite simple answer. So you can do it by yourself by doing any kind of wood material. You can produce that. And how to implement that one? So just connect to us, because we also doing the same thing to Vietnam, to Greece, Australia, as much as possible. So we like to share our knowledge with everyone, and we also would like to learn from anyone as well.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. A very good presentation. That's for our next paper. The next paper, the topic is about absorptive capacity at the bottom of the pyramid. So may I invite the speaker, Eva Claudia? So your turn.
Hi, thank you. I will share my screen. Okay. So thank you very much. I'm working in this paper. This is a working paper. So if you have any suggestions, feedback, and questions, it will be highly appreciated. I am a PhD student at the Universidad Brussels, and I'm writing this paper with my promoter, who is Nikolai Denchev. And we are working with absorptive capacity at the base of the pyramid. So as you might heard, it seems like entrepreneurship is a good option to help BOP entrepreneurs to overcome poverty, as you can help them develop enterprises and create job opportunities. And currently we have supportive organizations that are present at the BOP context that help these entrepreneurs to overcome the challenge that they have and increase their chances of success. In this paper, we want to state that although there are supportive organizations at the BOP context, it seems like the transfer of knowledge is suboptimal because the low absorptive capacity between these two parts. This is background by several studies. So for example, I quoted here Q and Marinova in 2019, which expresses that we should focus in the internal routines, leadership process, organizational, environmental, and cultural factors that influence in the development of absorptive capacity. Therefore, we are using the lens of absorptive capacity presented by Sarah and George in 2002 to examine which antecedents are needed to develop between the supportive organizations and the BOP entrepreneurs. So I'm going to start by clarifying some concepts. First of all, what we understand by supportive organizations are all kinds of organizations as governments, universities, incubators, banks, investors, mentors, NGOs, and big companies that help entrepreneurs to overcome their challenges, and that provide factors that help entrepreneurs, that they provide finance, they provide entrepreneurial education, they provide legal advice or market dynamics. For other part, the BOP. So the BOP context is a context that has limited access to resources, and this is expressed in the side of individuals and in business. So individuals normally don't have enough to satisfy their basic needs. There are no basic services, low level of education, and this is also challenging for the businesses because they also don't have sometimes enough resources to operate, and this excludes the human resource that they have access to. Normally at the BOP, there is also an absence of institutional context, which means that they are surrounded by informality, and the firms need to adapt to this. They need to adapt to the lack of property rights, and that the transactions normally are based in trust more than in legal aspects. And for newcomers in this context, it's very hard to develop this trust and understand this kind of transactions. And also the BOP is characterized by inequality, because you will have population that lives with less than $2 per day, but in the other side, you will have the presence of multinationals. And you need BOP entrepreneurs to compete with multinationals or with big companies. The last term that I want to review is absorptive capacity, which in this paper, we are gonna use it as the ability of an entrepreneur to understand new knowledge, recognize its value, and commercialize it by creating a firm. This is important because the absorptive capacity represents a competitive advantage for the entrepreneurs, because if an entrepreneur, if a company does not have it, they will not evaluate the opportunities that they are surrounded by. And when they will mistakes, they will not be able to learn from their mistakes or to understand what was the mistake. And there are 4 antecedents for the absorptive capacity. The first one is prior knowledge, which refers to if you have knowledge in something, it will be easier to acquire more knowledge in the same topic. So for example, if you have knowledge in business, it will be easier to acquire more knowledge in business. And it is important to build in this prior knowledge. Whatever the knowledge that you have first, you have to build on it, so it will be easier to acquire. Then the sources of knowledge refers of how immersed you are in knowledge, how easy it is for you to find knowledge about certain topic. The activation trigger refers to the motivation to learn, which can be internal or external. Internal can refer to, for example, in the context of the BOP, normally is motivation, the need to have a job because they need it to survive. And external could be like governmental policy. And then there's standing between parts, which means, for example, how much they share values and the way they learn, in this case, between the supportive organizations and the BOP entrepreneurs. So for this, I selected the case of Bolivia. Bolivia represents, I think, good the characteristics of a BOP context. Is the poorest country in South America based in GDP. And by 2017, 32% of the population was living in poverty. I am using a qualitative approach because, we need to analyze the interconnected nature of the actors and understand real life experiences. The principal tool was semi-structured interviews. We did 37 interviews and 4 focus groups to analyze the relationship between the supportive organizations and the entrepreneurs. So we interview supportive organizations, we interview regular entrepreneurs, and we interview BOP entrepreneurs. And for triangulation, we also did some observations and collected secondary data. The results are organized by the 4 preconditions of a CAP that I mentioned before. So regarding the prior knowledge, we found a supportive organization that was using an approach of popular education, but more relevant that they first went to the BOP entrepreneurs and learn from them and learn how these entrepreneurs were learning. How was their learning experience? So they need to adapt their methodology, and when they went to teach them, they were teaching them with oral stories and drawings. And they needed to adapt all their content to this. So this is very, very important that supportive organizations have to adapt their tools to the prior knowledge of the BOP entrepreneurs. Regarding the sources of knowledge, it's true that the supportive organizations are a source of knowledge, but they don't know everything. And they should also take care of connecting the entrepreneurs with the right source of knowledge. That can be local, let's say internally connect entrepreneurs with other entrepreneurs, because supportive organizations do not have the knowledge of the entrepreneurial path, but other entrepreneurs do. That's why it's important to connect them. And it's also important that supportive organizations connect the entrepreneurs with international sources of knowledge that are, because there's some knowledge that is not present in a local context. So if they can connect with this international source of knowledge, they are helping entrepreneurs. Regarding their activation triggers, so normally the BOP entrepreneurs don't have a problem in the motivation because they really need to develop enterprise, they really need to survive. But it's important that the supportive organizations are ready to support these initiatives, to show entrepreneurs what is the value that they can bring, how they can help them. And that supportive organizations build in whatever the entrepreneurs are doing. For example, if the entrepreneurs are working with agriculture, the supportive organization should go to this area of agriculture and help them in this and not try to impose a different tendency. And the understanding between parts. So BOP entrepreneurs normally come from, well, at least in Bolivia, in the case study that we did, they have a very high sense of communities where they relate based in trust. They have very different life routines, and they even have a different language. And in order to understand them and to really be able to transfer the knowledge, it's important that the supportive organizations generate long-term relationships, because otherwise they will not be able to understand the context. Of course, I understand that supportive organizations may not have like 10 years to develop these kind of relationships, but it's important that maybe they work with stakeholders that already have the trust, or they already know the context, and through them will be easier to reach the BOP entrepreneurs. So finally, in the conclusions, we can say that supportive organizations are present at the BOP context and they want to help entrepreneurs, but they are not taking enough attention to the complexity of their message. It's important that they really adapt their message and their tools to the BOP context and to the BOP entrepreneurs. It is okay, maybe in some moments, to use tools that are successful in other contexts, but if you take these tools like copy and paste to the BOP, this will not be useful for the entrepreneurs and they will not understand it. And the supportive organizations that are currently at the BOP need to attract the missing elements as the missing sources of knowledge from the international networks to provide a more complete support for the entrepreneurs. Thank you very much for your attention. Here is my contact information. And if you have any question, comment, suggestion, or feedback, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. So, any questions any question for Claudia? Okay, so let me see. It looked like no questions. So maybe I have a question for you. Okay. Do you think it's I think it's very challenging to connect vital period to the international network. Do you think it's necessary for them to connect to international network, or do you have any suggestion that whether it's a must or not? Or yes, that's my question. Yeah.
So I think there are some key elements that are missing at the BOP, for example, quality education. And it is possible to develop it at the BOP. It's not necessarily to connect it with an international network, but developing at the BOP will take more time and will be more challenging. So yes, connecting them with an international network is also challenging, but I think it's easier than developing this kind of key elements at the BOP.
Okay, thank you. So may I have any other questions? Okay, so regarding the absorptive capacity, so do you arranged two capacities, right? So prior knowledge, social knowledge, and activation trigger and understanding between parts. So so that's based on the reference or based on your observation?
Yeah, it's based on the references. So it's absorptive capacity. It's a proposal of Sarah that was launched. It's a paper of 2002, and several authors developed on this, and they reached to these four antecedents.
Okay. So if you want to publish, I think you probably need to collect more, data, to test whether these are the capacity really needed for the vital period. Yes.
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you.
You cannot hear me. Now can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Now can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you want to publish your paper, I think you probably need to collect more data to support your hypothesis or your suggestions. Yes, that's my opinion.
Thank you. Yes, I think I will try to repeat the experiment in a different country to see if I find the same results.
Yes, okay. So thank you for your presentation. Okay. So now let's turn to our next presenter. I think let's welcome Leonard Lima. He's going to talk about academia report. So may I invite Leo?
Yes, thank you, Mark. Hello, everybody. It's my pleasure to present to you today the academia report and what we're doing there. I'm going to share my slides. I'm going to start. So I am the founder of Studio Nima, where we basically implement social business projects all around the world. I started 10 years ago at the Grameen Creative Lab as the head of academia, and I want to take you a little bit in that journey because that tells you a little bit of how we started. At the Green Creative Lab, we believe that social business education is key to shape a mindset that puts societies first. So really back in 2010, we thought about how can we bring social business into the universities. Yunus Centre, Lamia and Professor Yunus, they've already done a great job implementing the first initiatives. We then back in 2010 had the first, let's say, academia workshop at the Global Social Business Summit. You all know the Global Social Business Summit, been organized by the Green Creative Lab. In 2011, then in Vienna, we had our first official academia meeting as a separate meeting because we said there's a strong need. And here you see our good friend, Professor Cam Donaldson from Glasgow Caledonian University, Masa Okada, Kyushu University, a lot of partners, AIT, Dr. Faiz Shah, from the very beginning on were part of this group driving forward the, let's say, academia network and the work that we've been doing in this field. So this was kind of the beginning of this, what turned now into the academia conference today, our first academic meeting back in Vienna with Professor Yunus, of course. And we then thought about, okay, we have this gathering, networking is really, really important. There's so much happening all around the world. How can we kind of synthesize our findings? So then back in 2013, we published the first social business academia report at the Green Creative Lab, kind of comprehensive work of showing all that has been done or is going on in the academic world. I then started my own social business, Studio Nima, and took on the social business academia report. You see it here in 2014. We published a new one together with Yunus and You, the YY Foundation. And the latest one we had published last year in 2019 that we also did at the Global Social Business Summit, of course, with Professor Yunus. I just realized when I looked at the photos, Professor Yunus, we still look young and fresh. The only difference is we both wear glasses, but other than that, nothing has changed. Academia Report is now a partnership with the YY Foundation, with the Yunus Centre and us at Studio Nima as the editing partner. And we felt like, okay, 2019, we have come out with this big report. 2020, a special year, so we're going to do a new report again. And we're going to publish this report next week. I'm not going to show you how the cover looks. It's going to be a surprise. So you have to be patient until next week when we're going to publish. But I want to tell you a little bit about what we have in the report. Of course, we're going to cover, let's say, many of the activities of the players who are already active. I mentioned the Yunus Centre at AIT in Thailand, HEC Paris, we have contributions, Glasgow Caledonian University, of course, new players like Leuphana University, so different contributions. And we also this time wanted to make it slightly different, more in a, let's say, magazine approach. We open up the topics because we want to reach a broader audience, not only the academic network that is active. So we really thought about, okay, who could be this people from around the social business world who are floating around somewhere that we can actually bring closer to our social business world. So just to give you a few highlights of what we've been doing. Of course, we have an interview with Professor Mohammed Yunus. I think that's always a great honor for us. One thing important this year, we called the report also No Going Back. As you know, this is one of the big claims that Professor Yunus is doing, no going back. And this interview will be about this exactly. Secondly, one of the big highlights of our report, we have an interview with Professor Jeffrey Sachs. I think you all know him, renowned economist, one of the rock stars when it comes to economics. He's a professor at Columbia University, best-selling author. So with Professor Sachs, we speak a lot about the Sustainable Development Goals and the role that social business can play. Ron Guerin, some of you know, of course, he's familiar, floating around in the social business world, floating around in space as a NASA astronaut. And he will basically talk about his perspective on our planet and also a little bit on how you can translate and transfer research findings from space onto our planet. So I think this will be super interesting topic. Andrea Young, she's the CEO of Grameen America, board member at Apple, Unilever. With Andrea, we speak about her work in microfinance, of course, and we also scratch a little bit about the work that they do in collaboration with academia. They have a randomized control trial study to really measure the impact of what they are doing at Grameen America and the impact that microfinance has. And last but not least, one of the other big highlights, Michael Moller. He's the former Undersecretary General of the United Nations. And also with him, we speak a lot about the Sustainable Development Goals and the role that young people can play. So as you see, like quite a diverse range of topics, not just the core activities of the network, but really we wanted to broaden. Because for three reasons, three big goals for me. Question number one, how can social business really become mainstream? I mean, this needs to be our objective, and not only become mainstream, but become mainstream in schools and higher education. For me, back in 2013, this was kind of our world map of universities who were involved. And I said, hey, let's look at 2020, how this world map will have evolved by then. So very happy to be here today. This was the world map from last year's report. So last year we had close to 70 universities. As you know, now we have more than 88 universities being involved in the academic network. But maybe here, a little bit of an outlook, 2025 should be our objectives, right? There's many, many more blank spots on this planet. So let's see where we take social business into many, many more higher education institutions, but also, of course, schools. How do we get social business in the curriculum of each and every student? I think for me, fundamentally important, not only in the dedicated social business activities, but into the business schools, into the MBA curricula, into different types of programs that are out there. We have to think about how can we get social business into these programs. And last but not least, I think that's also a call to action for you. How do we reach excellence in social business research? I think fundamentally important, how to get to the high quality rated publications and so on to really further advance the topic, to bring it into mainstream. And maybe last but not least, this is not how the academia report will look like. As I said, I'm going to tell you next week, but we, as I mentioned before, we want to do it more in a magazine style, that we can actually reach more people in the mainstream, not just the academics, but we want to open up the topics. So by mid of next week, we're going to publish this on ybyfoundation.com and our website studionima.com. And of course, we will share to all the participants of the conference by email. And with this, I would say thank you very much for the opportunity to present. And I hope you will all enjoy reading the academia report next week. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Leo. Okay, so this year's social business academia report quite different than last year. So I look forward to its publication next week.
Yeah,
okay.
Thank you.
Good work. Yeah, thank you. So in our last presentation, we would like to invite Paula. She's going to showcase some video about social business. So may I invite Paula?
Good morning. Could you hear me?
Hi, good
Yes.
morning. Yeah, I can hear you. Yes, please. Yes.
Yes. My name is Paola Samoggia. I'm a composer from Italy, and I work in a team, and we are connected with the Yunus Centre in Urbino, and also with a big team in Italy that is the National Italian Singer Association, and we create a project together to spread the social issue. Now I share the video. I share my video, and I have a presentation. This one. It's a short presentation about our activity. We started with 2 projects, and we strongly believe in art, just to raise awareness on social issues. This is our aim, and we would like to do this with our work. These are the issue we define, and the goals we would like to spread. And we started with the first project. It was to an opera on the first book of Professor Yunus. I wrote the music of this lyric opera in the Italian style. And last year we succeeded in presenting it on a stage in cooperation with the University of Urbino and Yunus Centre they created, and the producer was the National Italian Singer Association. And we were on stage with an orchestra, singers, and we spoke about the beginning of the Professor Yunus history. And it was really a big emotion, and Professor Yunus and Dominic and Enzo were with us, and we had a really beautiful time. After this emotion, in this year, we programmed some reruns of the opera, but with this situation, we couldn't go on with this project. We are programming a DVD or a streaming transmission, but we will do it in next months. And so we decided to anticipate the work we were planning for 21. And it's a video, we create a video dance of 2 minutes dedicated to the workplace death. And we don't want crashing, we wanted to avoid crashing, and we wanted to speak about this problem because it's really terrible. This is our team for this project, and we want to say with all our force that we don't want to go back. And the world is facing a really terrible crisis, and there are a lot of people without work, and we see a new form of slavery, and we don't want to see this anymore. And so we created this video just to make people and institutions speaking about this terrible problem. And now we see that there are people forced to accept any working condition, and this is not possible. And so we presented this video 10 days ago in a really beautiful place in my city, that is Bologna. And now we want to continue this campaign with using this video just to speak to meet people on this theme. This is one shot of the video. These are my references. We have 2 websites, one for $27, that is the opera, the program, the project, and No Crash is the other website. My name is this one, Paola Samonja, and now I sent the video. I hope it will go. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Paula.
Okay,
Yeah,
many
thank you.
thanks.
Wonderful pick. Wonderful video. Yes. Yeah, so I think
Thank-
we are running out of time. Okay. So first of all, I would like to thank you all of the presenters. So we have three research paper. So if you have question, you can also contact with the authors, and also they will present academic report, which is going to publish next week. So check out the website provided by Leo to check uh, the very unique report this year. The magazine style, I think it's very easy to read. Of course, Paula, thank you for presenting a very powerful video from Italy. I think I would like to check the video maybe later, to
Thank you very
feel the
much.
impact. Okay, so that's all for this this session, the academic session 3. So may I pass to Zina?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Professor Makshan. Thank you all to all the presenters. They were amazing. And thank you for answering the questions that came from the audience. And now we have a lot of events stored for today. We have the plenary session 1, the academic curriculum on social business. This is going to be an interesting session with many of our YSPC representatives talking about the academic curriculum that has already been developed or is in the process of being developed. So I request you all to join. It will be in the same link. You can join our next events. So bye-bye for now, and thank you again very much to all the paper presenters. See you in the next sessions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you,
See you
Mark.
later. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.